Hello, welcome to Quackalope. Thank you for joining us. We are wrapping up a week-long excursion of filming where Jan, we drove 10 hours down from DC to bring you here for about 5 days where we produced as much content, good quality content as we could. And tomorrow morning, I drive you another 10 hours back to DC to drop you off, you know, continuing the cycle that we try to do every month and a half. And we figured we would use this as a way to kick off a new video series that we're working on here on the channel, which something along the lines of top 5 games I've played this month. But in this case, because we've played so many in the last week, we decided we'd do together top 5 games we've played this week for 2 very specific reasons. 1, to shout about some games that we're excited about. And 2, because all of these games are going to have some sort of feature on the channel. And so to get you, the audience, excited to see the coverage.
A little preview.
That we've prepared, or at least some of the coverage that we've prepared across this week. Along with that, I do just want to say, if you're a fan of this channel, excited about the content we're producing, and want to continue seeing us being able to do things like driving 40 hours across a weekend, taking off a little bit of work, making sure we can continue producing this content, please swing over to our Patreon and link down below. For us to legitimately continue this, I mean, we're at 260 backers, we have 50-some pieces of unique content over there, and more on the way that we've prepared. And for us to legitimately get somewhere, it's really around that 500 backer mark is where we've, like, solidified. So even $1 helps kind of make sure that this is a reality. All that being said, Jan, we've got 5 games I want to go ahead and start digging into.
And before we do, I want to give a little bit of context. So this week, as Jesse said, we've been playing a ton of games. To be precise, I think we've played almost 10 to 11, 12 games in just 1 week.
Maybe slightly more than that. A few of them were multiple times. We've produced something like 20 plus videos this week, and we still have 1 or 2 more we're hoping to do, but those are going to be things that aren't directly related to gameplay. But you're right, yeah, probably 12, maybe 14 games this week.
So out of all those games, these are the ones that we've selected to talk about right now. And kind of, like you said, shout about and be excited for, because they were, like, these were our surprises of the week.
With one honorable mention.
Honorable? No, like with one that's definitely missing, because it would have been 6.
That we know and have known for a long time as a gem that we will cover in some other ways, but we happened to let a friend leave
because he liked it that much.
Because it was a good enough game that we figured we'd let him borrow. So you'll see coverage of that one. See if you can guess down the road what you think it might be. Let's go ahead and start diving into these, and in no particular order, but starting with probably my favorite, the gem of
Okay, so no particular order.
No, Jen.
Except starting with the best one.
No particular order. There's a very specific reason why this one is my favorite.
Why?
Because I've had it for a long time. I've stared at it. I've thought to myself, I'd love to play you. I never thought I really would.
I think I know which one you're talking about, because I had the same feeling.
I never thought I would genuinely play Bus.
Yes.
We were actually able to get Bus to the table. This is a Splotter game. I have the anniversary edition here, which has some of the nice fancy components that you'll see in the B-roll. Not in this video. We're just talking about it here. By Capstone Games and Splotter. Now, I'm a big Splotter fan in theory.
Yeah. That's a really funny way of saying that.
Theoretically, I love Splotter games, Jen.
Have you played Splotter?
I've now played Bus.
Oh, excellent. Okay, good. We need to change that immediately.
So Bus was a out-of-nowhere surprise. We thought it would be a gem. By golly, it was a Bus.
You're good with these today. No, like, my gosh, so when you approach a Splotter game, you're usually, the way that you start approaching a Splotter game is like, oh my god, I'm going to play a Splotter game. It's intimidating to a certain degree.
Yes.
Every single time I go and pick up the box and I don't see a background.
Well, they don't need a background.
Sure,
but you should trust it.
But I'm worried. This is gonna be something ridiculous, but
they don't apologize for the fact that games are
games.
Games.
Yeah. They produce the craziest things ever, and Bus is no exception to that. But at the same time, I would argue from the limited Splotter games that I've played, this is the one that's most accessible.
This one was surprisingly accessible. We sat down, we spent maybe an hour playing, running, reading, testing, so that we could get it right and teach our friends who didn't have as much time to learn.
Whoa, Jesse, try to get it right. Yes. The best we could.
That's true. This game really is a surprise gem. One that has earned its spot on my shelf beyond just I like Splotter games idea in general. What I loved about this game, let's just talk favorites and then continue moving on. What I loved about this game was the application and how crunchy your decision making is in such a simple game. There is very few things I'm doing. I'm taking maybe 2 or 3 actions per turn, and there's maybe 6 total actions, maybe 7, that I can choose between. But then you go over to this route map where you're trying to connect businesses to streets, where you have pathways to buses that you have to move people around in this weird little pattern to score tight victory points. The amount of depth this game gave me for the simplicity of actions, it is a beautifully refined game.
Yeah, fantastic. For me, it's that making actions into a resource. That to me was so cool.
So for context on that, you have an action pool that is always limited. Just like you're giving 20 coins at the start of something, you're giving 20 action cubes. You can spend as many as you want every turn, meaning you could be farther along in the game than your opponents.
Similar to like Everdell, right? From the games we've played.
The trick is timing.
Yep.
How many do you spend? You always have to put down 2, but I can do a big turn with 3 or 4, and if that can pay off, that could be the game for me. If that fails,
you're out of the game.
Losing 1 or 2 actions could legitimately be the thing that puts you on a misstep.
And the other thing that I really loved about this is how basic the actions are, but how many implications they have in the execution of the strategy.
A massive amount.
Amazing. Yeah, we definitely recommended. We loved it so much.
Jan, which one are you pulling over? In no particular order. Viticulture. You've played this game 3...
I have a love-hate relationship with Viticulture.
3 times this week.
Love-hate relationship.
First time I've ever played Viticulture.
Don't boast about this, really.
Second time I've ever played Viticulture.
Jesse broke the game the first time he played. Okay. He went beyond the scoring track. And you did play everything correctly, as far as I know.
William was there.
Yep.
William
he can testify.
He can testify. I scored 7 points above the
yes, you did.
The track.
Yes, you did.
This is a surprise. This is a surprise charming game for me. Yep. I really loved. Again, simple with some really interesting decisions to make. What's your favorite thing about Viticulture?
I love games with restrictions for some reason. Games that kind of challenge me to get in the headspace of the designer.
Sure.
The idea of breaking down into separate phases in a single round.
Yes.
One, like, whatever. So in Viticulture, you have 2 seasons where you're trying to, collect your stuff. And so one season is summer, and then you have winter.
In summer, you're planting your crop. You're establishing your vineyard.
And then in winter, you're getting the getting the
flavor text? Yeah, I got you there. In winter, you're harvesting your crop, you're moving into fall, and you're bottling it up to store so that it ages over time.
Here's the trick, though.
I got flavor
text.
The
workers that go in summer do not go over to the workers that you have in winter. So similar to Bus, where your actions are limited, same thing happens in Viticulture.
In this, your actions are going to be limited from round to round, though, instead of full... for the entirety of the game, right?
And so I said that I have a love-hate relationship with Viticulture.
We're not here criticizing games. We're talking about the best games we've played.
But it was one of the best ones because we had a wonderful gameplay of it. The thing with me, for me with Viticulture, is that the card draw felt at the beginning like too random for me in this type of game. However, after I saw you play it, I understood that, oh wait, this is the type of Euro that I like because I have to adapt to the cards I have in hand.
And I very quickly realized that the card draw was a thing. So I took steps to maximize my card draw, which gave me more options than even let me build towards a late game strategy. And I think you did a much better job of that in the second gameplay
Oh, yeah, for sure.
than you did in the first or the
I
second.
made one mistake in that gameplay, and that was... I made one mistake in that gameplay, but either
Sure.
way, the second time, I saw it.
Sure.
And I even went ahead and preemptively got everything for it.
When we first played this, you were playing it as one last test run.
Yep.
Because you were giving it away this week. That was your intention. You thought, it's been in my collection for a while. I don't remember why I like it. I think I'm getting rid of it. After the first gameplay, you were getting rid of it.
Yes. And
After the second gameplay,
I want to keep it.
you were keeping it and you ordered the expansion.
I got everything,
After the third gameplay, you'd realize that your initial criticism weren't quite accurate and you were actually way more open to the game as it stands instead of doing your own adjustments.
Yeah, like at the same... Like, I still believe that the card draw in this is huge.
Sure.
But... It's good. It's a different take on Euros, and we really, really liked it. It's my favorite Stonemaier game.
I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Oh, Jesse, why do we have so many Euros? Are we starting to cover Euros on this channel?
I'm not, but you are. It's a shared channel. What am I going to do? Teotihuacan by NSKN Games and
Board and Dice.
Board and Dice. This is one that we actually had the expansion for. That's one of the reasons we want to bring it. We wanted to show off the expansion. This is a game that I'm going to be honest, I've seen other people talk about. I've heard people say it's really good. I've completely written it off.
Yeah. Well, there's different reasons for it. Like when you take a look at Teotihuacan, it might seem a little bit... It might seem like a lot. It might seem like something that's not very approachable, but once you get into Teotihuacan and you actually start going through those rounds...
I always thought it was kind of gimmicky. One of the reasons I'd written it off is because this pyramid building in the center here felt a little hamstrung to me. I wasn't interested in... It just didn't captivate me. And I'm a thematic player, right? So, like, I see a game that's mechanics seem like it's built around just establishing a physical tower in the center, and you're like... How good could the gameplay be?
And then when you get into the game, the tower could literally not mean anything depending on the strategy you take.
Well, that's a certain part of it. I mean, we played 2-player. We played with all the expansion content. There was a lot of mess going on. And I really like messy Euros. I like giving the opportunity. But again, let's cover, not full coverage, let's cover what was our favorite thing. For me here in Teotihuacan, the thing that will bring me back to it is the utilization of your workers in that rondel pattern.
Yep,
I
exactly.
like the pressure point of how far, how fast do I move, and when do I lock people off versus continue cycling them and aging them. So in this game, you're going to have various different regions and zones around the board, moving you up a ton of different tracks that each score in their own unique chaining way, and you're trying to solve the puzzle of how you piece them together. Your workers are going to be a limited pool of either 3 or 4 that you're moving around the board to take various actions on various tracks. That rondel pattern was really, really fun.
Yeah, and oh man, one of the most interesting things about Teotihuacan is the level of variability that the Euro itself has.
Sure.
All of those locations, like for example, in the game that we played, I think our materials were kind of like spread out, and that kind of changed how
I believe the materials were
traversed.
every other. Like they were very spread. So moving was more in jumps than in like stopping on a zone.
And that in itself kind of like transformed the way that we approached the pyramid, for example.
Sure.
Because in our game, getting resources wasn't easy. So building the pyramid wasn't simple.
I think the stone was after the pyramid. So like
It was like in the corner.
You actually had to go beyond where you wanted the stone to get it, then take 2 more turns to get back to where you needed it. It was pretty...
And the thing there is that all of these elements are variable in itself, because sometimes the pyramid might not be the best strategy because the tiles that are being drawn aren't really the best for you to score points from. In other instances, the pyramid is like the thing to target. And oh man, it just has
Before I
so
pull
much
this off, Jen,
dynamism.
your favorite thing?
I agree with you. It's the rondel. The rondel
pattern.
for me is the best thing. Next up, ooh, Nidalee.
This is a cool little international game that we had our hands on for about a month plus at this point. Recently came to fame due to some other channels covering it.
Dice Tower.
Here's the thing. We found it first.
You're not wrong.
All right, Nidalee, you've coined the phrase, this is a bid builder. Tell me what that means.
Well, in Nidalee,
Because I'm going to spoil it.
What?
That mechanic, that term, is the best part of this.
Yes, 100%. So in Nidalee, we all start with a set of 5 bids that you can make, and they're represented by cardboard coins.
Yeah.
As the game progresses, you're able to transform those bids or add them together to get better ones.
They're of different values. So it's sort of, there's a deck building, it feels like a deck building mechanic here. If I'm choosing to engage in an auction, there's going to be 3 of them on the table. If I'm choosing to engage in one, I have to play a coin in order to jump into that space. But one of your coins is worth 0.
Yep, correct.
So you're going to program your 3 auction bids, and then you're going to have 2 coins left over. If you played a 0 value, you're going to be the last to pick from that auction, meaning endgame scoring mechanics, the pointality, set collection nature of this, a little bit harder to control for that round. But what you get to do is you get to add the value of your 2 coins and trade them for one of higher value.
Yep.
So a 4 and a 5 will become a 9, and your 5 will get discarded. That is going to be endgame scoring. That is going to be a coin you can actively use in following rounds, trying to beat or outbid your opponents. And that is also going to be the thing that is the weightiest part of this game. When and where do I upgrade my coins? What numbers do I decide to cycle out? How much am I losing in this trade?
And, oh man, what Nidalee does specifically is the combination of almost two games at the same time, because you have all that intricacy with the bid building and kind of like maximizing your score.
Yep.
However, that's not all the game has.
So the game's a bidding game.
It's a bidding game because you're drafting for cards for a set collection aspect that
and you're
kind
looking
of is
around
transformative in a sense.
You're looking around the table and you're thinking to yourself, he wants green.
Yep.
He wants green real bad. His maximum coin's a 5. My maximum coin's a 9. I either play it now,
or you lose the game probably later.
Yeah.
So that combination is fantastic.
Games, it's a shame Jan brought this one. I've got to film B-roll of it, Jan. Listen. It's got to stay in Kentucky. I've got to film B-roll of it.
No.
It's still your game, Jan.
You don't have permission.
It's still your... No. We'll talk about it. We'll talk about it off camera. This is not a time for...
It's not going to happen.
Parents shouldn't fight on camera in front of the ducklings.
It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. Anyway, Rurik.
The Dawn of Kiev.
So this isn't a recent game.
This is not a recent game. This is, however, going to be a Kickstarter on Monday with an expansion. And if you've watched to this point, maybe you're intrigued. This was the standout game for me. This was the surprise hit out of the park. This one is one that came in as an underdog. I didn't expect much from. I thought Bus was going to be a good game. I just was scared of it, right? I didn't know about Rurik. You'd told me good things. I'd seen good things. I'd heard people I respect in the industry saying good things, but how much does that really mean until I've played the game?
Yeah.
Not much. Don't listen to what we're saying. That being said, this one was really, really good, with a caveat.
Yeah, exactly. You want to share with the...
We'd like to share.
We love this game with an expansion.
You love it base game.
I like it base game. I like it a lot.
It is part
of
your permanent collection base game.
I now love it with the expansion.
The expansion did what I want in these type of games. Opened up the opportunity for a little bit of mess, but also a depth of strategy.
Yep.
From my opinion, as far as I'm concerned, and we are not sponsored on this, we are just doing some coverage. The expansion's a must-buy.
It's one of those expansions that completely transform a game in a way that's very positive.
It's
like Viticulture with Tuscany, which we haven't had the opportunity to play yet.
And Tuscany's supposed to be a must-buy as well.
Yep,
that's my stance on Rurik. If you are familiar with this game or interested in it after we've talked about it, or you've seen our coverage, which will be coming out on Monday, this expansion
fantastic
is a must-buy. This is by Peacekeeper Games. This is an older game, and they haven't put out much since then. Like this follow-up is them coming out of hiatus for a little while.
Yep.
Let's talk a little bit about what our favorite elements of this game are. So this is going to be set back in early civilization, where a king, I need the actual lore. What's the actual lore? The land of Kievan Rus is in turmoil. Following the death of Vladimir. Following the death of Vladimir the Great in 1015, the people need a capable ruler to inspire and lead them. So this is going to be, historically, a region of the world where a king had a population of children. And that population of children, as they did back in the day, decided to squabble over rule of the kingdom when the king fell. That is what we're doing.
Yeah.
We are trying to position ourselves in this map to gain resources from the land, establish different types of buildings, and slowly squeeze the life out of the very few victory points we can get.
Yep.
Moving up 4 core tracks. There's a warfare track, there's a building or territory control track, there's a adjacent building track, so like you're developing a city, and then finally there's a resource track, so you're essentially economic wealth. This was a good one. What's your favorite mechanic here of Rurik?
Easy. The programming.
Yeah.
The action programming is fantastic.
You're using your different meeples on this chart here to program everything you're going to do
In the
on
actual
your
round. Yep. And the way that works is such a fascinating puzzle to solve. Like the decisions early on in this game and every turn just kind of evolve in a way that feels so satisfying. You being able to know where your opponent is going a little bit, because there's a little bit of prediction in this, right?
Sure.
If you're first player, you're already kind of like implying your strategy. So someone going in and blocking you from a certain area, but at the same time, when you block that you incorporate it into your own strategy so that it happens at the right time. Because all of these meeples or advisors, they're all numbered, and they're going to resolve in the order that from lowest to highest. So the idea that you're pushing down people, bringing some others up, adding some coin to a particular advisor so that it's more expensive, it just works so well.
For me, I agree with that element. I think that's the most fascinating part of this game. Definitely really rewarding. I have a different thing that's my favorite, though.
Oh, what is it?
My favorite thing about this game
Is the expansion.
is that this is yes. This game for me was a surprising puzzle that dealt with economy, warfare, and territory control in 30 to 45 minutes.
It's an efficient area control game. And when I say efficient, I mean in time, too.
When we first started playing, I looked down at the chart and I thought, I got 4 rounds? What can I do in 4 rounds?
Apparently a lot.
The first game was a little lackluster. Not because it was a bad game, but it was just good. And in 4 rounds, I felt like I'd got something up and running, but we never really butted heads. We never really faced off. It wasn't a struggle for victory. Mixed in that expansion and knew the game a little bit better. And wow, the amount of stuff we could do across those 4 rounds, the crunchiness of this programming, the pressure of looking at that and going, if I put a lower value meeple on build, you're going to push me down.
Yeah.
Is it worth me going here if I only get to build 1? Can I do what I need to do if I'm only building 1? That push and pull, so good.
Here's the craziest thing. This is an area control game that works really well at 2 players. That works really well at all player counts.
And it's because of the map scales. The map closes in organically based on how many people you're playing. It plays 1 to 4. I think in the video we said 5. I don't think it's not accurate.
Oh, that's traditional Quackalope.
Well, that's true. Plays 1 to 4, and it's going to open up from that 2-player to 3-player to 4-player based on the color orientation on the map. Either way,
that's been a thing.
That's a highlight of some of the stuff we've covered. If you made it to this part of the video, we'll go ahead and spoil the game that we lent to a friend that we will have coverage coming of soon, just not right now because we don't have it.
Unfortunately, I miss it. Chinatown from Z-Man Games.
Yeah, it's
fantastic.
It's everything. It's everything.
Stop it! Don't say it.
It's everything you could imagine that you want in a auction? An auction game, a trading game. We are trying to establish
negotiation,
and trying to establish zone control.
It's a little bit of area control too, in a way.
Area control-ish. Your area control is a resource.
Yes,
it is much more of a mathematical puzzle where you're trading value for value, and if you can puzzle some dollars out of your friend or give them a good deal, you might be able to come out on top.
It's a slightly simpler version of Lords of Vegas that we just absolutely love.
Similar elements. All that being said, hopefully...
I thought you were going somewhere else, by the way, with that.
Nope, I'm not.
Okay, good. You changed your opinion.
You have to watch the video to see what we're talking about. All that being said, hopefully you've enjoyed this quick little rundown of a top 5 list. If you would like to see more of this style, what we're considering doing, just, because we play a lot of games every month, especially when you're able to make it down, planning on doing a top 5 games I've played this month type of category, just to pull the collection, pull the coverage that we're doing down into a consolidated form, give you a preview of stuff's to come. Like right now, all of this can be expected in full videos on the channel,
Yep.
and also have a conversation with you. What are your thoughts around these games? Have you had first play experiences that maybe didn't go as well as ours did? And are there some games you'd like to see added to our list as we're just trying and testing things out?
Are they also your favorite games? Are they part of your collection? We want to know about it.
That's too many questions. At that point, you should probably just not leave a comment at all. That being said, thank you for watching. Thank you for being here. Jan, we are a couple hours from driving you home, so I think we should probably move on and film another video.
But whatever you do, remember to do the important thing. Get out and play some games. We'll see you guys next time. Thank you.
Oh,
That almost fell.
There's people sleeping below me. Sorry, Dad.